Let's set this booty up right. Gonna get started. Alright, let's see if I can get this window up and running. According to this, we are streamage. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Thursday night, and looks like we're on fire. Obviously, this weekend's gonna be a little wacky, it being Father's Day, and I've got some other friend and family shenanigans going on, so it's a good week to move things back to Thursday proper. And a little tired, but it'll be a nice, chill, calm evening. And we're going to talk about Michael Mann's Heat a little bit later. Assuming somebody shows up. Hopefully it doesn't lock me out of my chat again like it did last week. It's because according to this, let's see. See if that'll kickstart anything. I can always restart this if I'm missing you guys. Let's see what this does. Let's find out. All right. Nothing exciting there. All right. Let's see how we're doing. Looks good. I'll just go another minute. If I don't see any chatty chats, then I'll assume it's doing that thing from last week where I have to reboot the page. In any case, hopefully everybody's had a kick-ass week so far. I know it's been cruising by pretty fast for myself. I actually watched a couple of things, so we'll talk about that. Got some pickups this week. Some little bit of everything. Got some gear, some LaserDiscs, one Blu-ray, and a couple CDs too. So, got to give some shout-outs. Oh, Spencer's in the house. What is up, my friend? Thought you were working. Or was that Rod? Or maybe it was both of you. Rod's, nice. Alpha Beta Xenon Z Cat. What's going on? Nice to see y'all. Yep, 9 o'clock, Thursday night. Totally ready to rock. Feeling it. Let's bring the thunder. Yeah, I was listening to a piece on NPR about the Universal Vault fire. Ugh. Universal, man, they got rough stuff going on. Oh, Melinda's in the house too. Hello, Melinda. Excellent. Good to see there are some peeps out there. Yes, excellent. Smiley tongue face. Yeah. Just looking forward to chilling out, talking movies for a little bit, and we'll see if maybe Peter will show up. I know he was upset I wasn't going to be hooking up the Ferrugia tonight, but he might make it. Hopefully Mikey will be here too, because I got to give a shout out to him. And yeah, I'll wait a few minutes before showing all the pickups and stuff like that. So yeah, what did I watch this week? Oh, 175,000 Masters, crazy. Yeah, there was that one guy that was saying that he'd spoken to someone at Universal, and they were like, well, that's okay, as long as, we don't need the masters, as long as there's some sort of extant, recording available. Like, really? That's cool. That's totally fine. Yeah. That there's no masters. Ugh. Yeah. That's rough. So yeah, what else am I going up against? There's no hockey tonight, right? Or is there? I don't know. I don't pay attention to sportsiness. Yeah, I know there was something else I was going up against, but who cares? Whatever. It's 9 o'clock Thursday night. We're talking movies. It's a thing. But yeah, I did get a couple LDs in yesterday. Ryan Cushing hooked me up. Actually, it was as a result of last week's live stream. I was talking about some stuff, and then he just slammed me on PM, like right when the stream was over, and had a bunch of stuff that I was looking for. So we made it happen. So those came in yesterday, and yeah, a couple other fun things. Moikey gifted me a couple things, so I thought that was rather nice of him. So I grabbed those, and yeah, the reason I kind of laid low on picking up a lot of stuff recently is will be obvious shortly as well. Yeah, so they'll be fun ones too. They'll go over well, the LDs. Not too many, but they'll make up in quality what they're lacking in quantity. Speaking of quantity, had anybody see that that thing on LDF? I forgot the name of the gentleman that was an old LaserDisc store salesman that was trying to move his collection of like 1,200 LDs, and it wasn't going too well. Moikey's there. Nice. Excellent. All right. I'm just glad that you're there, Moikey. That'll make me feel better. But yeah, there's that guy that's selling 1,200 LDs, and from what it looks like, a lot of them are like covered in stickers and maybe X rentals. Just seems to be regular commons and nothing too exciting, but he is coming from the angle, it seems to be so far, of what they used to be back in the late 80s and 90s, and isn't ready to let go of that, I don't think. So there's a couple nice gentlemen and gentlewomen on the LDF forums that are trying to break the news to them that what was a $40 and up disc in 1992 is not necessarily something somebody's going to be bending over backwards for today. So yeah, you keep saying, "Oh, what's 1,200 discs worth to you?" And everybody's like, "Without a list and without some better like tantalizing screenshots of some heavy hitters, not much. 50 cents or $1 to the disc." What's been keeping me busy? Just lots of stuff at the day job. The day job. Sadly, we're doing a big office move, so I'm doing a lot of menial tasks and getting stuff ready for that. And Alpha Beta is watching fourth season of Billions. Nice. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I feel bad for them. We can't afford $99.99 for lasers. Yeah, that was the sad thing, because it started cool because it was like, oh, this guy rolled in. He said he was a vendor of laserdisc from day one. So I'm like, awesome. That's awesome. Like, his story's great. And then it turned into him talking about having an influence supposedly on letterboxing, and somehow was involved with Paramount. Bringing letterboxing into the Star Trek realm with Star Trek 2. I don't know, if it's apocryphal, but oh, nice. Everyone's watching Heat. Excellent. But yeah, so I'm like, cool, all these cool stories. And he's like, and then I'm selling these discs, and I expect to get a mint for them. And everyone's like, whoa, pump the brakes there. So it was like this mixed bag of interesting person that we'd all love to like kind of pick their brain coming into the group, and then the whole like, yeah, you're going to get hit pretty hard by people that are LD collectors that are not completely surprised by 1,200 discs, and there's a couple people on the forums there that buy that amount of discs on a fairly regular basis. So yeah. Anyways, but I didn't watch too much filmage this week. I did watch one thing that I'll show you on Blu-ray. I streamed a couple things. I finished the Robert Kirkman AMC. All those AMC secret history kind of things, I've been really digging those because they're on Shudder. So ever since I subscribed to Shudder, I've been catching up on those. So I started with the Eli Roth horror ones, and then I did the James Cameron science fiction ones, and then I did the Robert Kirkman comic ones. And that kind of led to watching the Image Revolution documentary, because the last comic documentary was all about Image Comics. So I was like, oh, cool. I've always been meaning to watch that Image Revolution doc. So I figured it was a good transition. So I watched that, and then I finally got around to watching Zach Penn's Atari Game Over documentary about the creation and burying of the E.T. game, and that was fun. I'd been following that story when it broke, so I'd been interested in checking out the documentary. I was just dragging my heels on it. Do I know anybody that watches Billions? I don't know. I swear I do. Heat is stupid good. We're going to talk about it. Excellent. Glad Pete's digging the Heat. Did I watch any other films proper? Maybe something will come to me. But, yeah, just mostly... Yeah, and then my wife was watching The Staircase on Netflix, so I was kind of watching that along with her, and she loves that murder porn stuff. Watch out. But it was cool. And then, of course, watched Heat. Got to watch that. And I watched some of the LaserDisc, too, that I got, too. So, yeah, I'm holding back a little bit. But, since we got Moikey in the house, I can give him an official shout-out. Shout out to Moikey! He is the man. And he got me a couple things. First, what is my favorite book, fact and fictional? Fact is tough, because I can go any number of film books. But, I'm almost tempted to go Lords of Chaos, but that kind of falls apart later on in it. But fictional... That's tough. Lately, it's been Hard-Boiled Wonderland at the End of the World by Haruki Murakami. That's up there. And, of course, like Anamara's Secret Service by Ian Fleming is always going to be up there. And then anything H.P. Lovecraft is going to be there. But luckily, he didn't write too many longer pieces. It's mostly short things. But, At the Mountains of Madness is pretty kick-ass for long-form Lovecraft. But I'm trying to think of like overall fictional book. If I would go with like Future Noir, the Blade Runner book by Paul Salmon. Love that thing. I reread that a bunch of times. Oh, of course, Lord of the Rings too for fictional and fact, because there's a lot of important stuff in the appendices. It's very legit. So obviously I've reread that a bunch of times. It's not cool to say, but the tie-in with the Atari Game Over documentary, I've read Ready Player One probably 4 or 5 times. But I know it's not cool anymore. It's probably something else, Glenn. I'm looking over at my books in the room with me. Most of my other ones in the other room. No, definitely not Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, but I did read Anthem when I was in school, and then of course listened to 2112 by Rush a lot. And then classics, Kafka's Metamorphosis, always a good time. But so many choices, so little time. But I'll think more on that. Anyways, so Boyke was at a tag sale or something like that and tripped across some cheap CDs that were related to anime shows. And he thought about myself and Sean. Oh yeah, Dune. I've read that numerous times. That was always a go-to. It's always a good one to just pick up and plow through. Classic stuff. But so Moikey thought about myself and Sean because we were podcast buddies, and he knew we're the two idiots that watch anime, and he doesn't. So 2 things I saw in his pile, he said he'd pick up, and he mailed them out to us, and I got them in the mail yesterday. So that was awesome. And they are both Macross Plus releases. I got the Anime Tracks reissue, which is like a collaboration with ADVision. I think ADV and Right Stuff, and so it's actually like officially licensed stuff instead of the usual like Sonmei bootlegs from Taiwan that you would see at anime stores all the time back in the day. I did have a UK pressing of this that I got in, I don't know, maybe 96, something like that. Took me a while to find it, and it seemed kind of quiet, so I'm intrigued to check out like a different pressing. And the fact that it was like a little bit later and it was a legit one, I figured, yes, I would get that. And I did have a used copy of an earlier US pressing of Volume 2, but the Anime Tracks version he also had, so I figured, yes, let's go for this. Love some Sharon Apple. I'm a huge Yoko Kanno fan, so these soundtracks, especially Volume 2, used to rock. I had a cassette copy of this. I actually picked up a bootleg in Chinatown in New York, and I used to listen to that in my car all the time. But yeah, so I think these came out in the early 2000s, officially licensed copies. JVC, I think, put them out originally in Japan. You could probably even get the Japanese discs relatively cheap now, but I figured, yeah, I love that show. I love that soundtrack. So I would take up Mikey on his offer. So mega thanks to Mikey. Let's see. Oh, are you Franklin in the house? What is up? And I never did play the... that's going to Peep. I never did play the DOS game of Dune. Did I ever play... 4K is in the house. What's going on, sir? Did I ever play any Dune games? I don't think so. Not even like a Dune role-playing game. But definitely psyched for the Denis Villeneuve remake. So I didn't get much in the way of... Trackmaster's playing some Call of Duty Zombies. Nice. I didn't get much in the way of Blu-rays or anything, but of course, this week I had to grab Captain Marvel, grab the UHD, and watch that the other night, and all the extras, except I didn't do the Rock the Commentary track yet, so. But, looked great. Sounded pretty tasty. It was, I had to ride the volume a little bit. A lot of, back and forth between the bombastic moments and the dialogue. Wasn't quite as out of control like the Winter Soldier release, but I remember that one being like, holy crap. But yeah, it sounded pretty good. And it looked fine. And the features were fun. There's a cool like 70s style, or not 70s style, 90s style, like featurette about the Flurkin, and some other good, like some gag reels, deleted scenes, etc. So yeah, really dug this flick. I like the 90s vibe of it. Actually feels like a 90s action movie, so this one's gonna get a lot of replay. Yeah, and Sam Jackson likes LaserDisc, right? Exactly. It could have used a little LD referencing within it, but there was a Blockbuster and there was a True Lies standee, so I can dig that. But yeah, I'm gonna be revisiting that one a lot more. It's got a different enough vibe from the MCU. It kind of stuck out for me, and the 90s-ness of it obviously touches base with me. So, it's Pete's reading Roald Dahl books. trying to get Dune into the curriculum. Nice. I tried to get my high school English teacher to do some proper Dune coverage, because he was talking about the literary trope of the wasteland, and the hero returning to the wasteland, and he was using the natural as an example of that, and kind of giving a rebirth to the wasteland, and I'm like, dude, there's a book that's like a literal version of that. Like, it's a literal wasteland. It's not a metaphorical, dusty out of use baseball field. It's an actual planet that's a wasteland. So I was like, you gotta read Dune or watch the movie or something. I don't know if he ever did, but he seemed excited about it. Yeah, the Marvel mixes are all over. Some of them are a little more obnoxious than others, but and then some are, I don't know, some are pretty tasty. I didn't mind. What was the last one I watched before that? It was probably right before this. I probably revisited Infinity War, which actually didn't sound too bad. But Oh, nice. Harry Franklin's birthdays. Oh, dude, Robot Wars and Robot Jocks on LaserDisc. Wow, sweet. Robot Wars, some classics. Yeah, I did see the deleted scene with the extra stuff with the he smiled guy, and a couple other things. Some more things with Jude Law, which obviously I understand they wanted to get her to Earth quicker, so they kind of cut that out. So you actually see who he sees when he goes and talks to the Supreme Intelligence. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I dug it. Yeah. Everyone's talking Roald Dahl. Yeah, right? You only live twice. That's a... Let's read that screenplay. I don't know if we ever were pushed any Roald Dahl. Or, I remember a lot of us reading some of his stuff, but I don't remember it being like actual part of the curriculum. So, interesting. Crash and Burn. I've got that on the Shop Factory did a double DVD release of Robot Wars and Crash and Burn, and it's nothing to write home about visually. Like, it's got like digital glitches or video glitches, so it was either taken like directly from VHS or like a low grade video master. But that said, it's fun. Crash and Burn is... I like Robot Wars a little more than Crash and Burn, but they got their moments for sure. Robot Wars is the one I think that has the... yeah, that's the one with the 90s town. I love that. Because they're like, welcome to this town that's been meticulously restored to look like it's in like 1993 or whatever like that. It's like, that's a nice way of saying we ran out of money or something. We just want to shoot a bunch of scenes that took place in modern day. It was great. Oh yeah, that first Iron Man. Yeah, the 5.1 track is smoking on that thing. Yeah, they're all over the place. And then, yeah, by the time it got to like Winter Soldier, it was just, nothing but bloat. that whole like finale where everything's going down with the shield helicarriers and everything. It's just nothing but... I mean, I love me some bass and everything, but a little bit of dynamics. Mix it up a little bit. Anyways. Yes, I would definitely watch Sam Jackson get in the LaserDisc channel. Yeah, so what else do they get? I got some LaserDisc, thanks to the almighty Ryan Cushing. Oh, what's that? Watching... The Witches, Nick Ragg, yeah. I haven't seen that in a long time. Yeah. When was the last time? Probably decades ago. Last time I saw that. Good stuff. Here we got some LaserDiscs. First up is one I've been meaning to get, even though I have the Elite version. But this is not even letterboxed, or it's mono, probably not even digital. Or is it? Is it digital? That is the question. In any case, nothing's telling. It's Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. I want to grab the other Japanese release of this as well, but Ryan had this bad boy, and yes, I can't not have more Evil Deads in my collection. The only bummer is the knucklehead who owned it. Hopefully it's not Ryan. Sorry if I called you a knucklehead. Decided to tape the Obi on. I'm like, get over yourself. Figure out how to put a disc with an Obi loose into a jacket and don't tape it on there. That sucks. So I had to remove the tape, but it left a little bit of a residue behind. But that's cool. I can't complain. So definitely happy to have that joining the rest of the Laser crew. And can't have Evil Dead 2 without a little Evil Dead. And this one's gorgeous. This guy did not tape any OBs. Yeah, the covers on these things are very, very tasty. And everybody that collects horror LDs already has these, and I've been really dragging my heels on picking them up for so long. This one also is... this one's got digital audio. I do believe also some more mono action. And what year did this guy drop? A little bit later. It's actually got chapter stops and all that stuff, but yeah, love it. It's got a very like early Photoshop, frame thing, but it works, especially with the logo popping and yeah, good stuff. So I got that, and just because you have to have it, had to get the Herald Videogram Blue Evil Dead that everybody talks about all the time. Finally, I got a copy with the corner obi. Again, he taped it on the back a little bit, but it's really not too bad. I watched it last night, and it looks pretty good. It's not. I've seen some other Herald Videogram releases around this time that looked astastic, like Never Say Never Again. So I was actually impressed with the picture quality. There was there's some blacks that are crushed, and it definitely changes from shot to shot, the overall like image fidelity, but it's not too bad. And the color timing changes aren't as obnoxiously like apparent as they are in the screenshots I've been seeing all the time. Like, it just felt like I was watching Evil Dead, but like a little bit of a lower grade copy of it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And yeah, supposedly it's got more of the image frame than any other transfer, and yeah, it'll be fun to do some like comparisons and stuff like that. And it's got the crazy ass cover artwork. So finally have a copy of the Super Blue Evil Dead. Yeah, I'm gonna do some digital copies of these things for myself at least, and I can compare and contrast. I'll run them all through because I've got two elite copies. I got and these two Japanese ones. So I got a bunch of Evil Deads now. So those are the LDs that came in the mail. So thanks to the mighty Ryan Cushing for making that happen. Shoutouts to Ryan. Let's see what else is going on. So now I need the other Japanese Evil Dead 2, and I need the US Evil Dead 2. I love the art on that. I should have bought it from Vincent Onorati when he was selling it, but I did not, and now I regret it. Though I have the VHS counterpart. And then I need to get the bootleg, the Taiwanese bootleg of Army of Darkness, which Ryan says he's looking out for me, so hopefully we'll actually get that someday. It seems like everybody's got one. Even Moikey's got one, and I'm having a biatch of a time finding one. So, anyways, so the other thing that I'd been waiting for was a new edition. I'm kind of reworking. And I knew Pete would dig the Blue Evil Dead. Yeah, I'll definitely make some archival screen caps and all that stuff, and yeah, do some fun comparisons. I finally have it. But yeah, I've been kind of reworking the system and my main system slowly, because I got that LDS9 off of Bill from Boston and his one of his old Ferrugia NRSs. And so I'm going to rework all that stuff. Oh, Captain Supermarket, indeed. I do. I bought that. Where are you at, Captain Supermarket? Oh, that's probably farther in than I realized. Probably next to my Army of Darkness. Bam. Yeah, I bought this when it was, quote unquote, brand new at Laser Craze up in Boston. Good old $80 import. The Obi strip is either inside or in a box somewhere. So I just took it off because it was getting in the way of the cool artwork. And yeah, you can see the Captain Supermarket logo. Maybe. Classic stuff. I just like that you can factor in and program either of the endings. And of course I have the Letterboxd Army of Darkness. I originally got a used rental copy from Laser Craze, but I got this mintier one in a lot, so I kind of upgraded. I don't have the well, not really pan and scan, but it's like kind of like a mixture of things, because I know there was some like hard matted shots going on for special effects in here. But anyways, the 4:3 version. I don't have that. So, yes. Excellent. Evil Dead. I'm just going to put that down there for now. Anyway, so yeah, I got a new Ferrugia, new LD player, so I'm going to rework a couple things, and some things kind of worked out, and I ended up pulling the trigger on some more AV equipment that I'd been thinking about getting for a while. I've never gone separates before, so I figured let's actually do that because there was a device I wanted to pick up, and it showed up this week. It is the Rotel RSP 1069, and even though it doesn't have amps in here, it's still heavy. And this is cosmetically just like my Rotel receiver that I have, and it's just like the RSP 1068 except a few tweaks, and they added HDMI to it. So this is a little old, not quite, maybe 10 years, something like that. But at the time, everybody was tweaking out over the fact that it doesn't have HDMI 1.3. But I don't really care about that because I'm using my DVD-O as an HDMI switcher anyways. Guy did have the remote as well, which is always nice. Little fold-down Star Trek communicator kind of thing going there. So, grab that. The only thing that sucks is I had it plugged in to test out some stuff, and I was trying to go back and forth between that and my receiver, and the remote works on both of them. So I'd raise the volume, and it would raise the volume on both, and then I would go into the menu, and it'd go into the menu on both. So I had to tape over the the Ion one. Oh, Martin's in the house. What's going on? Oh, 2:30 in the UK. Nice. Cheers. What show do you go see? So I want to get a RMB 1077 7-channel amp. Again, matches the cosmetics of that thing. And I'm Rotel crazy. So I need to get a tuner, probably like a RT 1080. Though there is a 1084. I don't really see it for sale ever. It's got serious compatibility and HD radio and all that stuff. If I find one, maybe I'll get one of those. But yeah, so I need to get a tuner, and I'm just gonna route it through and just use my AVR's amps for now. But yeah, the main reason I want to get it is because 4 5.1 tracks, and even though this doesn't decode DTS HD, Master Audio, and Dolby True Funkitude, whatever the heck that is, True HD or whatever, it'll accept obviously the decoded multi-PCM tracks through Toto. Nice, right? Hey, we were just talking about Dune, so respect to the Toto, because Dune connection. So it can accept multi-channel PCM, so I can send a decoded DTS HD Master Audio track through there. So it was cool. I was able to test out some things that I'd suspected, that discs that had problems with weird flanging and effects like that some people had said sounded great on their systems but sounded wonky on others. And I was like, I'm almost wondering if it only affects the core 5.1. So sure enough, I threw on Village of the Damned, and sounds great with the Master Audio. So yeah, it was the core 5.1 that was doing that weird flanging when I watched originally the Scream Factory release. So yeah, so I was psyched to test that out. So I haven't fully integrated it yet. I just did a bunch of testing just to get it going. But yeah, so I'll probably maybe use it to switch a couple things, but it's mostly just going to be so I can go separates and then finally start listening to the HD stuff. Yeah, these kind of, the Rotel's entry level, high end, but the higher end gear you get, the longer it takes for them to implement things that are in every like Onkyo receiver or whatever. So yeah, I mean everything like $5 receivers at Best Buy have Dolby Atmos now. But yeah, I think there's maybe one or two pieces of gear from Mattel that has Atmos yet. So, and I was tempted to get some of their newer stuff that actively decodes HD multi-channel, but I kept hearing about like the DTS bomb bug and some like digital delay issues and stuff on some of the newer models. So I'm like, poopy noopy. I'm just gonna go ahead with this and do the decoding outside, and yeah, so it's pretty tasty. So I'm excited to get that fully implemented in the system, and finally, well, I'll be a little bit closer to kind of completing it. I just need to get a couple more parts and shenanigans. So yeah, that showed up, and then Pete will be happy when I set it up and test it out, because it's got a Faruja DCDI chip in there from when Genesis bought them, and I'm having a hard time finding out the actual chip. Apparently they were kind of vague about what chip they used in it, but I'm intrigued to at least check it out with LD, see what it does like comb filter wise. So yeah, everybody's appreciating the Toto, I see. Excellent. Oh, they did play the desert theme. Sweet. Excellent. So yes, and like Pete was saying, now I can also rock the 5.1 PCM tracks on a bunch of my Blu-rays as well. So huzzah. I'm keeping it 2008 up in here. Finally getting with it. I'm always happy, very happy to be much behind the curve. So I'm thrilled to be entering a whole new world of multi-channel surround, and then like 10 years from now, maybe I'll dip my toes into Atmos. Maybe. We'll see. But anyways, what else did I get anything else? I don't think so. I think that was the bulk of it. So yeah, thankfully that thing arrived. The eBay seller, as always, did a horrible job packing. Like the box, and he had the original box. The dolt. He could have double boxed it properly, and I would have really appreciated having the original box. But instead, now he put it in an Amazon box that was exactly the width of the sides, like no room for cushion at all, like completely exactly. And then there was like a couple like air pillows haphazardly stuffed between the back and the front. So I can't believe that the knobs and everything work fine, and the RCA posts and everything didn't get jacked. Yeah, it works fine, unbelievably. So he did send it priority, so it got here super fast. So hopefully that helped. It wasn't like sitting bouncing around in a truck and on conveyor belts for like 12 days straight. But yeah, that's about it for pickups and things like that. And yeah, do I have anything in the mail? Nothing that I know of. I think everything showed up. So yeah, maybe I'll have something to show next week. We shall see. But anyways, the big release of the week we were going to talk about, and shout outs again to 2008 School in My Book, Year of the Dark Knight. And I was going to talk about the Dark Knight tonight too, so perfect timing. But yeah, shout outs to Daisuke for allowing me to haphazardly steal his film club idea. Like it just kind of aggressively, organically happened here. It wasn't meant with any ill intent or any real active designs on stealing his content, but it just so happened. So yeah, the assignment next week we already kind of decided last week was going to be David Lynch's Elephant Man, but this week was Michael Mann's Heat, and gave me an opportunity to fire that up again. Newfound respect for air bubbles, right? They actually did something. But yeah, Heat is a little bit easier to kind of hash out than Legend, even though it's a lot longer. But there's a little bit fewer, different cuts and versions of it out there. So that's good at least. But there is the new director's definitive version, which is at least structurally not very different. Do I have any UFO books? Some of the older stuff. The Chariots of the Gods and Eric Van Daniken stuff, and other like fringe things like Philadelphia Experiment books, and what else? I used to grab like 40 in Times and UFO magazines and stuff back in the day. Yeah. Oh, cool. I enjoyed the legend dissertation. Yes. Yeah, so I don't know if anybody saw the new version of Heat or went classic with a LaserDisc or anything like that. But I was actually just kind of revisiting the LaserDisc situation, because people talk about now, trash about everything that's going on between 4Ks and Blu-rays, and just being super disappointed about everything. And I remember like the forums back in the day, like alt LaserDisc. Everyone was up in arms about Heat. There was a lot of stuff going on the LaserDisc release, so we'll definitely hash into that. We can talk about any cut you want, Melinda. Yeah, so they're all super long. But I caught Heat when I'd been exposed to Michael Mann before. Obviously, I knew of his kind of vibe, largely from Miami Vice. I think I had tripped across Heat. I definitely had watched Manhunter, but I don't know if I was actively as aware of Michael Mann directing that. There was this kind of like Michael Mann vibe. People trash talk the auteur theory, but he does have his own kind of unique feeling and this kind of patina to his work, and he's got this, I don't know, like overall like mixture of grittiness and like serenity, and yeah, it's really gorgeous. And it kind of stems from the older stuff he did with having Tangerine Dream do scores of Thief and The Keep, and then Miami Vice, obviously with In the Air Tonight, as Crockett and Tubbs are just kind of silently cruising along, and that's kind of like the Michael Mann vibe. It's some people would say it was MTV related, but it's more than that. It's really like a hyper emotional situation where you're really in the moment. You're in the vibe of the moment, and everything is exaggerated in terms of how intense everything feels, and how just kind of, it's just this kind of cool, calm intensity. It's like simmering, and there's always some sort of interesting music that he has to expand that vibe. And yeah, his camera work and his eye, his attention to detail and willingness to go undercover basically to come out with stuff is like second to none. And then when he went digital, holy crap, he did things. He was pretty much the most important digital filmmaker I know of. He did things and captured things that you just couldn't capture on film, just because of the nature of how cameras work and how film is able to work with contrast and so Heat was a movie that, so I was ready to see it. I knew Michael Mann. I loved Last of the Mohicans. The new version of Heat is just a couple lines when Pacino says, "Ferocious, aren't I?" And then when his wife is talking about him sifting through the detritus. Yeah, The Insider is also a great film, and I am a huge fan of Miami Vice. And Collateral, obviously, I love too, but Miami Vice, I'm the film adaptation, I think, is woefully undervalued. But anyways, so Heat was something I'd seen coming out on the radar in 95, and 95, man, was like a killer. Like late 95, very early 96 was like insanely like bearing fruit. There's so much great film work coming out at that point, because September 7 came out, which like blew me. It was all stuff that was like seminal moments in like my life as a film goer. Like by that point, I moved out of my parents' house, and this new megaplex opened up not too long ago, and I kind of like established that as my home base, and I really reconnected with cinema and realized how much it meant to me and how much like I was going to be involved with it like from that point on. And I really dug my heels in and would try and go see as many movies as I could, and all that stuff. And yeah, in fact, the night I saw Heat, maybe first or second time, I actually did double feature that night on a work night, so I didn't care. I was always going to the theaters. But yeah, so I loved Last of the Mohicans. I loved that vibe of it, and I obviously was a Miami Vice fan for sure. But George Lucas invented, yeah, screw George Lucas. He invented the stuff, but Michael Mann made it into something. All those like super boring Claritin commercial moments in the boring green fields and Phantom Menace, all that stuff. Yeah, he had the technology, but he didn't know what to do with it. But yeah, but oh god, Collateral and Miami Vice, the digital cinematography in those are amazing. But yeah, anyways, so 95 was insane. Like 7 completely, yeah, Batman Forever I almost walked out on. But 7 blew my mind in September, and I went to go see that multiple times. Still one of my favorite films of all time. Then in October, Strange Days came out, Catherine Bigelow's film, which is co-written by James Cameron and Jay Cox. Also one of my all-time favorites, still is. Also featuring Tom Sizemore. And so that was like, dude. And then almost like a week or so after Heat, the wide release of Terry Gilliam's 12 Monkeys happened. And it was like, so officially that was like a Christmas 95 movie. But I didn't get to see it till like first week of January. But all 4 of those films are still like all-time favorites of mine. So, so I saw Heat pretty late at night in the theater, and just melted into it. Yeah, completely blew me away. And I remember going to work the next day, and back when people had newspapers, I used to work at a mailroom in an insurance company. So one of the things was I used to get access to everybody's newspapers and read them. And the local paper, the Hartford Courant, had a review, and it was written by this gentleman, Malcolm Johnson, who I believe has passed on. So I feel bad about maligning him, but I just remember just frothing like to everybody around me, and I don't think maybe 2 other people had seen Heat over the weekend, or no, did I see it? It might have been like a couple days after I saw it, actually, because yeah, I probably saw it opening night and then was frothing on Monday. But yeah, he gave it 2.5 stars, and nice. Pete is a Miami Vice enthusiast. Yeah, they gave it 2.5 stars, and all the complaints were, obviously there was a lot of complaints at the time about how he was retreading the same material he did in Thief, and that there was so much time wasted on all these side characters. And I'm like, yeah, this is kind of what makes this film stand out. They're like, oh, he's just making it long on wasting everybody's time, and all these little ancillary characters. He could have cut out all that. It's like he did cut all of that already, and nobody cared, because this was previously released as a television movie. It was supposed to be a pilot, because Michael Mann was doing Crime Story, and I had done Miami Vice, was a showrunner on that, and so he had a new idea for this like Los Angeles crime film, and so they had this one with not a lot of heavy hitters, and it tanked. They were trying to recast it, and he said no, and they ended up just showing it as like a TV movie called LA Takedown, also known as LA Crime Wave, depending on where you can find it. And it was a trimmed down, more focused version of the main story, and yeah, nobody cared. Ebert actually gave it a good review. I remember he liked it. I'm trying to remember I think Siskel enjoyed it as well. But yeah, I just remember arguing with my newspaper. I'm like, dude, this movie is like, people are going to be talking about this movie decades from now. I'm like, the coffee scene is going to be taught in film schools. I'm like, it was just crystal clear at the time, like what I had seen, the importance of what I had seen. And I was like, I had no doubts at all that it was going to be a like film classic, and then people were going to be talking about it, and probably doing Fathom event screenings 20, 30, 40 years down the road, etc. So I was hooked, and then the LaserDisc came out, and of course that became one of my favorites. And we'll talk more about the LaserDisc release. But if you haven't seen, we'll definitely get all spoilery and everything. But if you haven't seen Heat, it's tough to kind of summarize quickly, but it's a crime drama based on a real situation in Chicago in the 60s. Chuck Adamson, who worked with Michael Mann a lot and kind of came up with the story of Crime Story, was an ex-Chicago cop, as was Dennis Farina. They were all kind of pals, and he would always regale Michael Mann with these tales of the criminals that he would go up against. And there was this one guy, Neil McCauley, who had been in the joint in some serious places like Alcatraz, and was out, and it was one of those guys he knew that there was no real talking to this guy. That was this guy's career, and he like ran into him and was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna talk to you. Like, I can't really arrest you right now. And and then the tales of some of his heists and the intensity of his mindset and his willingness to leave things behind if one thing was out of step or whatever really kind of captured Michael Mann's attention, and he wrote a script back in the 70s that just didn't happen. And catch you later, Martin. Thanks for tuning in for a little bit. And so Heat just never happened until the LA Takedown thing came out, and it was just one of those itches, I guess, Michael Mann still wanted to scratch. And when Art Linson finally convinced him to make it, was awesome. Art Linson also behind Legend and Fight Club, some of my favorite movies. Decided to have him go at it, and they pulled together, Neil McCauley played by Robert De Niro, and then Vincent Hanna, now played by Al Pacino. So pretty heavy-hitting cast members. And so it's largely a film of duality about these two guys that are on essentially the same guy, but on opposite ends of the spectrum. And Braveheart. Yeah, man. 95 is a heavy hitter. So it starts off. It's just the mood in this film is amazing, and a lot of that's down to Elliot Goldenthal's score. Elliot Goldenthal was crushing it in the 90s between Alien 3 and even his Demolition Man score, Interview with the Vampire. He was just doing some really interesting avant-garde stuff. And this one, he teamed up with like Kronos Quartet, and then had this guitar orchestra called the Deaf Elk Orchestra with Page Hamilton from Helmet and a couple other guys on it. Really interesting stuff. And they would mix in, songs, so to speak, that would also act as score, like stuff from like Einstürzende Neubauten and Lisa Gerrard from Dead Can Dance. And like, it was a very, very like emotionally powerful soundtrack. I still remember the night I picked it up in a record store in Northampton, Massachusetts, and this thing barely left my CD player for a long time. What else? Terry Ripdall's on there, some amazing guitar work. Michael Brooks' Ultramarine, which is, oh my god, so amazing. Anyway, so that stuff like really kind of drives the vibe of the movie. But it just starts off like with these kind of calm characters going about these interesting tasks, calmly stealing an ambulance and calmly purchasing a bunch of explosive construction equipment, etc., with Martin Ferrero from Miami Vice and Jurassic Park in a cameo. So it's like you're already in the mood of the film even before it goes anywhere. And it really captures the vibe of Los Angeles. And this is like a real passion project of Michael Mann's, because he was cruising around with a cop in Los Angeles, taking small calls, and really got a feel for the lay of the land, and used a lot of the locations and events that they tripped across in the film. And when I moved out to LA in 97 or something, I really kind of like got a new appreciation for the film, because like we were trying to look up some of the locations, and we realized like just how like vast and spread out like the whole city is. It's interesting. Like Los Angeles in movies always looks like this big metropolitan area. They just have a helicopter fly over the same kind of section over and over again. But like downtown Los Angeles isn't that more impressive than say Hartford, Connecticut. But it's as if Hartford, Connecticut, and all of the greater area surrounding and all of the separate towns are all considered as one big city. So that's what like Los Angeles was. It just keeps going and going and going, and all these different like little suburbs and sections are all kind of part of it. So it was real fascinating, kind of getting all these new exciting locations and everything in there. But yeah, so it's the tale of these two guys, and the setup that you see early on in the movie ends up becoming this heist that Neil McCauley's gang puts on, which includes Chris Shaharless, who is a character played by Val Kilmer, who is too cool for school. He's got a gambling problem. He's married to Ashley Judd within the film, and she's getting frustrated with the fact that he's gambling away some of his hard-earned money in the film, and just trying to get their act together. And hence the Dark Knight. Dark Knight is pretty much a love letter to Heat. GoldenEye. Yeah, GoldenEye was another 95, though at the time I didn't like it, so I feel bad. But yes, so this heist goes down, and you are introduced to all these characters. Tom Sizemore is one of the guys on the team, and there's this new character named Wayne Grow, he's a dick from the word go. He's already like requesting his like third refill from from like a bodega, and he's just not like anybody else on the crew, so there's going to be a problem. Danny Trejo's in there, and in an early role before he was like Danny Trejo, he even just plays a guy named Trejo. But this amazing setup, has a lot of action, a lot of intense moments thrown in there quickly, and this heist just goes down like clockwork. And then Vincent Hanna, who is the cop played by Al Pacino, rolls in and starts kind of picking up this bearer bonds heist scent, and is realizing that he's up against some major league guys. Like, they know their game. They're not going to leave behind any tracks for him and his crew to follow. And then you do find out a little bit more about his crew. Wes Studi is great as one of the cops on Vincent's team. McKelty Williamson is in there. It's just everybody is put on their A game. But it's mostly about relationships. It's about the relationships of these two guys together. But it's also about their careers and how that damages and any relationship with anybody else outside. And that's been tapped into before, especially with Michael Mann products. There was an episode of Miami Vice with Kim Greist from Brazil that was very similar to the kind of tale of Heat, and even some of the strained relationship elements of Manhunter. I got into it, and a lot of it's borrowing from Bullet, which is funny because that was one of the things when I was arguing with that film critic. I remember thinking, if this film hadn't been fleshed out and you got to really feel for all these side characters, then the kind of messages outside of the gun fight that everybody talks about in downtown Los Angeles, that would be all anybody would talk about with Heat. But because of it, it's bigger. It's a bigger product. And then it's the same thing with Bullet. Bullet got into a little bit of stuff with Jacqueline Bisset's character and Steve McQueen and the impact on his career and their relationship, but nobody ever talks about that. They just talk about the car chase. So, but yeah, so it's intense. Michael Mann shoots love scenes like nobody's business. They're like the hottest, most like passionate things ever. Like the Madeline Stowe stuff with Daniel Day-Lewis and Last of the Mohicans is like smoking. Like, you need a cigarette after you watch those scenes. So yeah, there's like some really intense stuff early on with Diane Venora, who plays Vincent Hanna's wife, and she's a little bit wrapped up in herself, you could say, and she is coming off of a previous marriage, and Natalie Portman plays her daughter, who's just screaming for help and attention and isn't getting it. Her mom is just too wrapped up in her own stuff, and of course Al Pacino's character is too busy chasing down criminals. So it really examines the damage that comes out of having relationships, and Neil McCauley, oh, Austin's in the house. What's going on? The main gang member, played by Robert De Niro, he's got this moral code that he follows, and the concept is if he spots the heat coming around the corner, he's gonna give everything up and drop everything, no matter if it's a job he's in the middle of or if it's a girl he's trying to hook up with. He's just gonna move on. So that's his code, and things get a little bit complicated when, against his will, he ends up becoming entangled with this character named Edie, played by Amy Brenneman, who is also a completely damaged personality. I feel bad for the women in this film because they have to deal with these, if they're not very damaged themselves, they have to deal with these very, very damaged individuals. And yeah, she is just the right person to kind of get sucked into Neil McCauley's web. And yeah, Michael Mann should have been a porn director, right? Some hot stuff, man. And people talk about him being a very kind of detailed and intellectual director, and but yeah, they don't really talk about the kind of like sensual nature of his stuff either. But the film is largely about three kind of events, these three heists that are going on. This is the first one, which sets into play this whole scenario with the bearer bonds and also this guy Wingro, who was on their team, that is a total complete nut job. Kevin Gage plays him, and he is like someone that you don't want to leave as a loose strand, and sure enough that happens. So he's kind of out there floating, and the movie is just like so intricately structured. It kind of lets you forget about him enough and then move on. And then Nate is played by Angelina Jolie's dad, John Voight. He is roughly equivalent to Eddie Bunker. Eddie Bunker, who was a real-life L.A. criminal and robber and writer of numerous books and movies based on his stuff. And, of course, he played Mr. Blue in Reservoir Dogs. And you can kind of see it. John Voight's got this crazy like mullet and this funky mustache. He also looks a lot like that corrupt mayor character or whatever from Akira. But yeah, he's the handler, the fence that kind of sets up these jobs or puts Neil McCauley in touch with these jobs, and then also ends up moving the stolen goods for them. And everything is done in that traditional Michael Mann style. I love how his characters that are in the business of crime don't hold the hands of the audience members. Freddie's in the house. What's up, my man? And he has these dialogue scenes where they're just talking business and they are not explaining it to you, which is fantastic. There's another fantastic scene I love in early in Miami Vice where Crockett and Tubbs are both taking phone calls concurrently. They're trying to figure out what's going on with an informant that's had his family kidnapped, and then they both get in touch with Karen Hines' character, and they're just talking just all like shop lingo and stuff that maybe as an audience member would fly over your head. So yeah, there's a lot of that in Heat. So you have John Voight and Neil McCauley talking at this, so you could just feel the heat in these scenes, like the warmth of Los Angeles just kind of oozes off the screen. And so the the first heist gets turned into this other situation in which they concoct this deal to sell the bearer bonds back to the guy they stole it from under the assumption that he will have them insured and then he could claim them stolen. And because he's a money launderer played by William Fichtner, they know he's shady enough to get involved with such a thing and to fraudulently cash in on the insurance. And then they would split the take and offer him a discount to buy his own bonds back. And then because they're bearer bonds, they're not like traceable. You're the bearer of them. So that's why they were kind of made illegal in the 80s at one point for issuing new ones. So it was this kind of clever idea, but then William Fichtner's character decides that he is not going to be taken advantage of, and starts this whole kind of other thread going on. And Henry Rollins plays his right hand man, Hugh Benny. Amazing. The amount of like killer side characters and side characters in this flick are just awesome. So yeah, that story begins spinning out while Vincent Hanna is trying to track down all of his informants. There's a great scene with Tone Loc in there, and he's got, oh man, just his voice. You might find it, whatever, the two cars in a 911 slope. and who's Ricky Harris plays his brother Albert. This is a fabulous scene where Al Pacino's just like freaking out on him when he's trying to shake him down for information. And it seems like all this stuff is going nowhere, but he starts picking up little leads along the way. And eventually there's a second big heist, which involves precious metals repository. And that's based on a real scenario Chuck Adamson told Michael Mann. And it really shows you how serious these guys are. And then eventually everything leads up to this bank robbery, and that is just a tour de force of cinema. One, it's got Force Marker on the soundtrack, which is this amazing Brian Eno, like progressive, percussive bit of electronica, and it's too cool. Tom Noonan also shows up in a bit part as Kelso. I love that scene. It's a scene that would probably never be in the movie if it was a shorter version of the movie. But that's the movies that I end up like loving to an extent that I feel like I've lived in them and steeped in them, or because they take the time to do it. Blade Runner 2049 recently took the time to tell its story, and this one took the time to have you and Neil McCauley hang out with this guy Kelso, who's this real fascinating, aggressive criminal hacker that's found a way to snatch all this information from banking institutions just out of the air, and he sells this package to this crime package to McCauley, and you get to see what it's all about. And it's great because it's all delivered very, very it's not very hyperbolic. There's no intensity to it. It's just very business-like, and you get a feel for these guys when things are going well, like that. They're not psychopaths, not like Waingro. They're just smart guys, and that this is their job. This is what they do, and they've all had it's pretty checkered pasts, and some of them are doing better at maintaining a smart way of living. Hurlis has a little bit more problems with his gambling, etc. But oh man, it's just fascinating watching these characters do what they do, and just do it so calmly. And so anyways, it ends up turning into a gunfight that is the gunfight for ages, largely because of the sound design. And when you live in Los Angeles, you realize just how many bank robberies there are. It's amazing. There's so many bank robberies. And of course the movie then supposedly inspired the huge 1997 shootout that just went all over the place, and lasted for like pretty much a whole day. There was amazing stuff where life was imitating art. And this downtown LA bank shootout is so like rich in verisimilitude, like the sounds of it. And it was one of those cases where they actually listened to the playback of the audio captured from the set. And that's the other nice thing. There are no sets in this film. It's just all location. And they realized just how amazing it sounded with the ricochets bouncing off the buildings. And nobody's done sound design like that before. And I loved the kind of push and pull, because people talk about the sound and heat and how amazing it is, but it kind of works well with the music. I almost say like Michael Mann's tendencies are as like an ambient filmmaker. He knows when to dial down certain tones. Like there's bits where you'll hear like a droning musical piece, but characters will be moving around, but he'll actually like ditch almost all of the Foley effects. There's some bits in a airport scene that's largely referencing Bullet later on, you hear just what he wants you to hear, and it's very kind of calm and relaxing, and yeah, it's really amazing. So there are these bombastic moments, but the way they're mixed is really fascinating, and I loved I don't know, there's just this vibe about the shootout it's scary, but it's also, refreshing to hear something so realistic and breaking the mold of Hollywood sound mixing. And then yeah, it goes in all sorts of directions like you don't expect, and then sets up a big kind of finale, and the kind of heartbreaking tragedy of it, because it sets up these two characters that you kind of want to see both of them get what they want, and it leads to the amazing coffee house scene, which blew me away when I saw it, and I knew I was in the presence of greatness. And even if I didn't even I knew it was just a fun scene to listen to, but I recognized that it was more important than even I recognized at the time. One, there was a lot of talk about it being De Niro and Pacino acting for the first time together, because in Godfather 2 they didn't actually share screen time, and they were they were doing everything separately. And then there was this whole urban legend about how they never actually met on the set of Heat, and luckily there is a shot where you see both of their faces when he pulls over Neil's character on the highway after a killer cover of New Dawn Fades, Joy Division song that Moby put together. Again, the soundtrack just smokes, and they just go and have this discussion, which leads back to Chuck Adamson talking with Michael Mann about this real guy, Neil McCauley, and how he's like, I don't know, I don't know if I can arrest him or anything. Let's just talk to the guy and have a cup of coffee, and it's amazing. I was actually thinking the other day, I don't know if I have a digital copy of it, but I did a jam once at my buddy David Keith's house. He plays for Richie Blackmore's Rainbow now. In fact, I know he was just at Sweden Rock Festival the other day. But back in the day, before he was Richie Blackmore's drummer, we were jamming in his basement, and we did this interesting jam, and I mixed in the audio of the conversation from the diner. And yeah, so it'll always like kind of be near and dear to me, because I used to listen to that jam all the time. So hearing about the 8-ball hemorrhages and everything, the structure of that conversation is awesome. Just the paths it goes, these two guys really get to know each other, but it doesn't go in any cliched happy directions where like, oh well, they totally respect each other and everything. Like, no, they're completely prepared to shoot each other even though they respect each other. So they're not going to team up and go against a common enemy or anything like that. Like, one of them's still probably going to kill the other one. So it's heavy. There's that heaviness, draped all over it. But, as the film progresses, everything starts getting worse and worse for Al Pacino's character. And he's kind of let slip on the side that, at least personally, he approached the character as if he was dabbling in cocaine to kind of keep his edge. So that certainly shows. But yeah, his life is falling apart. Meanwhile, De Niro's unwillingly establishing what seems like a promising future. So you're kind of rooting for both of them. Like, you're rooting for Pacino to solve the crime and get his man, but you're also rooting for McCauley to get away scot-free and do that last job and retire. But oh man, and then on top of that, you still have all further side characters like Dennis Haysbert's character, who is a seemingly tangential person at first, and it's a large commentary on the nature of being an ex-con, and especially in big cities, and how you're out and people will take advantage of you, like Bud Cort's really, really sleazy restaurant owner who just treats this guy like dirt, even though he's trying to make an actual effort to be a straight man coming out of prison and go on the straight and narrow. And he does end up getting drafted into this whole situation later on, but it takes the time to develop all these little characters, and it's just, it's amazing. The vibe of it, is second to none. It's got some amazing cinematography. It would have been, like, obviously if he shot it later, he would have done it digitally. So there is a director's edition where he did go back and tweak a lot of the color timing and change things and make it, as he said, closer to the way it would have been had he made it recently. So you could say that's heretical, but it is nice to have the option of going back and watching an older version. But it does look pretty fantastic. And then, yeah, he did trim out a couple lines. Al Pacino saying that he's ferocious. Hank Azaria is also in there as a small part, as a side piece for Ashley Judd's character. Really gets into these people's lives and their side affairs and all that stuff. But yeah, that line, and then when Justine, Vincent's wife, is talking about him, she's speaking very. You can see it almost crossed that line where it was very written, and I know Michael Mann felt that line was a little cringy, where she says he sifts through the detritus, and I mean she's this erudite character anyways, and very stuck in her own kind of world, so obviously she probably spends a lot of time in her own head, probably reads a lot, and she's got this kind of ennui about her, and I could see her saying something like that he would sift through the detritus, but I don't know, but his Vincent Hanna's life is so rough, and there's this real harrowing stuff with a very young prostitute that gets murdered, which actually does tie in with the main story and actually kind of reconnects one of the characters you'd forgotten about in that way. And it's just this tour de force operatic piece of crime fiction, and there's not a ton of it like out there. What was Spencer was saying, De Niro's character arc is inverse of High Sierra. Nice. And when it came out on video, I was completely pissed because I love the film. I had seen it in the theaters, and it was up there already with Seven and Strange Days and 12 Monkeys, with one of my favorites, and I was really excited to get it on LaserDisc. And it was supposed to come out in June, and the Pan and Scan 2 cassette VHS came out, but not the LaserDisc. And people were like freaking out. So again, like if you think like people are only now like on Blu-ray.com like complaining about every new release, it was just like that back in the day, except it was just on the LaserDisc group forums and behind closed doors. It was also like people just tearing every transfer apart, tearing every little last bit of the soundtrack apart, so the LD was just nowhere to be found, and I still remember going into this comic book store I used to frequent in Enfield, Connecticut, and I remember going in, and the dudes in there were watching the VHS, and I was like, it was like so many emotions at once, because I was like pissed that I didn't have my letterboxed LD copy. But on the other hand, Heat was happening, but I was pissed that it was a pan and scan version, and I was pissed that it was VHS. It was like, but I still want to sit around and talk Heat and watch Heat with these guys. So then, it's funny, it really only was delayed by a couple months, but at the time it seemed forever. There was people talking about, July 2nd it's coming out, and then it was going to be like mid-July, and then it was going to be a late July. Yeah, there was no news. Everyone was just like, we're talking to Ken Cranes, and they kind of think it's coming out in July. Moiki is a Heat fan. Excellent. Right? Yeah, you totally... Val Kilmer might be a major douche in real life, but he's a fantastic actor. Yeah, man. You want to see Cher Hairless, get away with it. You want to see Neil McCauley get away with it. Like, it's like, these guys, you feel so much for them because, they're doing their job. And that's what they do, So then finally in August, the LaserDisc finally dropped, and then people were complaining about all sorts of situations, but it's Warner Brothers, so unfortunately it's not a gatefold. I wish this thing was a gatefold. Again, I also wish there was a Criterion Collection release, but Finally came out on LaserDisc with AC3 5.1 surround sound, which is nice. I saw a bunch of people talking about the AC3 already. Yeah, a little bit more boomf to it. Theatrical mix. Really nice. And it's funny, I always noticed on this, and I think it's in the source, but it was one of the things people were complaining about harshly when it came out, is the scene with Waingro and the prostitute. It starts one side. I think it's side 2, track 1, chapter 1. There's a lot of hiss in the scene, and I think it's always been in there every time I've heard it. But I remember that was driving everybody crazy. People were complaining about the transfer a lot when it came out, and I really don't have major problems with the transfer. They were saying, the color was muted and it was very noisy, and I don't know. I've watched this LD quite a bit, but the other big problem they had was that the image was shifted up for some reason, much like some of the Star Wars films. Usually it's done that way for subtitles in the bottom, but this one is just shifted up, so the bottom letterbox bar is much bigger than the top letterbox bar. Whatever, I can live with it. Who's talking about douchey jeans? I gotta hold on. He sells douchey 400 jeans on his website. He's still kind of a douche. This is exciting. I've never met Val Kilmer, for the record, but I do know that Richard Stanley probably thinks he's a douche for his shenanigans on the Island of Dr. Moreau, which he probably regrets now. But yeah, so this was my go-to for a while. I was always hoping that Criterion Collection would come out with a version, because it's in my Criterion Collection. But yeah, 3 sides. I think they're all CLV. Yeah, the movie's 171 minutes, so yeah, it's pretty beefy. Yeah, it's ass kicking. Came out August 95, and then I skipped the Snapper Case DVD release. And I didn't pick it up on DVD until this thing dropped in 2004, which was the closest I could get to a Criterion Collection, because they finally threw some special features. Michael Mann's hit or miss with doing special features. Oh yeah, the Robin Hood's Prince of Thieves also had the image shifting. And then the LD delay was for quote-unquote technical problems, but I'm not sure exactly what they were, and I had heard that there was test pressings that Warner Brothers rejected multiple times, so I'm not sure what the problems were, but they had some issues going on. I remember Copycat was also delayed around that same time too. But yeah, we got a Criterion The Rock, but not a Criterion Heat. This is the weirdest timeline. So yeah, when this 2-disc case came out, I'll take out the slipcover. It actually had some special features, like a commentary track and a very, very nice set of documentaries talking about the real story and talking about the origins of Neil McCauley and the Chicago crime syndicate and the cops that were chasing him. And then there's bits with Elliot Goldenthal in there. There's bits with the actors, and it's a really nice documentary, and also some deleted scenes, which was pretty tasty. Yeah, maybe it was Warner giving up DADC. That might have been it too. They might have been like getting tons of crap pressings from DADC. But yeah, so this DVD was like a pretty nice pickup, because oh no, Mikey dropped the Ronin question. That's gonna get Spencer all fired up. If you hadn't been clued in, for some reason, film enthusiasts like to battle Heat against Ronin, and I love them both. But I think I love Heat more. But I know Spencer is definitely Team Ronin. I love them both. But anyways. So yeah, so then not too long ago, the Director's Definitive Edition came out, where Michael Mann made those small changes and tweaked, the color timing and everything, and juiced it up the way he wanted it, and came out with this rather gorgeous Blu-ray that's it was like $8 at Walmart on the day it came out. Very, very nice stuff. And it does retain the audio commentary and the deleted scenes and the making of documentary, which is awesome. But there's also a bunch of Q&As, including the one that Christopher Nolan hosted, and there's an International Film Festival Q&A. So those panels are definitely worth checking. And it's just sad, though, to see Val Kilmer. I know Mikey says he's a douche, but it's rough, because he has such a hard time talking. His tongue is like huge and swollen, but yeah, he's super psyched to be part of. Horatio, what's going on, my friend? He's super psyched to be part of the Heat legacy, and yeah, it was cool having Christopher Nolan doing one of the panels, because as we were talking before, Christopher Nolan definitely owes a lot to Michael Mann for his cinematic vibe. Elliot Goldenthal, so good. But yeah, so obviously Dark Knight is Heat with superheroes and supervillains. So it's awesome stuff. But yeah, the score is so good. I've been wanting to do and I know some people have done it before, a proper, perfect kind of collection of the soundtrack, because while this soundtrack is amazing, and I don't know if it was ever pressed on vinyl, but I need this thing on vinyl. I'm sure somebody must have repressed it by now. If they haven't, it's a crime. But yeah, Goldenthal he came out of nowhere. I remember Alien 3 just blowing my mind, like the kind of avant-garde experimentalism in there, and yeah, even his Batman Forever score I didn't mind. But then he, after Frida maybe, and of course he married Julie Taymor, or maybe they're just permanently coupled. Maybe they didn't actually get married. But either way, yeah, I don't really see him doing much anymore, which is too bad, because he did most of my favorite stuff. Oh God, just the instrumentation, the implementation of the guitars, and Kronos Quartet and everything. Yeah, the soundtrack for Alien 3 is insane. I have I've got the old Vrest Saraband CD for that. But yeah, I'd love to have an expanded superset. That would be awesome. And yeah, I'm a sucker for his Demolition Man score too. The whole opening credits thing in Demolition Man was so much of the coolness of that was based on his music. But oh man, the freaking score to this thing, it's got the intro thing with Kronos Quartet and the Deaf Elk Orchestra. It's got Always Forever Now, this tune from Passengers, which was a project Brian Eno and U2 did together. It's got Terry Ripdahl and the Chasers, 2 tracks. There was some William Orbit stuff that was in the film but didn't make it onto the soundtrack. Michael Brooks' Ultramarine is holy crap. Oh, Ryan said no Heat score on vinyl. That is a crime. Freaking Michael Brooks' Ultramarine is insane. It's he's kind of this master of, he called it infinite guitar, but he loves to do these delay loops, and it's very similar if you ever heard the intro to Run Like Hell by Pink Floyd, that kind of percussive guitar playing, but then he has all these layers of that going on, and it's just this beautiful melody kind of played on guitar, and holy crap, it's just insane stuff, and really just heightens the emotional moment of the scene that it's in the film. Most of this stuff really elevates everything. It's just your nerves, your emotions, everything's just on 12 when you're watching this thing. Everything's just turned up. So it's got Einstürzen Neubauten Armenia. This track is vintage industrial action, which has this real kind of creepy drone, and whenever I would play this soundtrack late at night, that thing would come on, and towards the end of it he starts doing all this kind of Diamanda Galas-esque wailing and creepy vocalizations and ululations, and I remember that would always wake me up. I would have nodded off at that point. I'd be like, I'm awake. So yeah, that's in there. Mystery Man by Terry Ripdahl, Nude on Fades, I mentioned the Moby track, Force Marker, the Brian Eno track from the Shootout is dude. Le Bas, which is Lisa Gerrard stuff. That and Glorden were on her Mirrorpool solo album, which I highly recommend. But oh my god, it is like you put that on and everything you're doing is the most epic, intense thing you've ever done. Like even if it's just like doing the dishes, it's life or death dishes, man. It's the most important decision you've ever made. Then some more Chronos credit, and then the freaking thing ends with God Moving Over the Face of the Waters by Moby, which is like I just remember sitting in the theater and just that's kicking my ass. Like the movie's kicking my ass, the finale's kicking my ass, and then that song of anything is just sheer perfection. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Holy crap! So I'd love to get a complete version because there's a lot of stuff that didn't even make that release, and some things are just like a couple seconds here and there. I mean, that is a really well curated soundtrack. Horatio used to play Armenia very loud to my neighbors when they didn't let me sleep. Crank the volume up. That's awesome. It's definitely going to get someone's attention. Oh, man. So, Heat was a favorite and remains one to this day. And I've been loving Michael Mann stuff ever since. Some films connect with me a little bit more than others. I still have them all. The Insider was great, and I loved Collateral and Miami Vice. Miami Vice that's a late night one I watch a lot. I loved it in the theaters too, but I'll pop that one on quite a bit. And it's like spiritually not too far off from the vibe of Heat, but it's got its own thing going for it. And I was a huge fan of the TV show too. So, Strictly Sega's in the house. What's up, my friend? Yes, and I've got the Moby songs, and I've got the Moby. What the heck was the? It was also on that other album there too. Everything Is Wrong or whatever, but I've got that too somewhere. But awesome stuff. I also love the Miami Vice soundtrack, but the Heat soundtrack, it's like I don't know, everything about Heat is like perfection. Like there's not one moment in the film where even some of the more like strange parts, like there's a bit where Al Pacino's it feels like he's forgetting his line when he's yelling about the chicken being overcooked, and he's like, I could care less about the chicken being undercooked or overcooked. He seems like he's just pulling it out of his ass, but it's like it's perfect. It like works for great. There's no moment in the film where I'm like, I wish that was played differently, or I wish that was cut out of it, or I'm completely along for the ride. And every time I watch it, I am just it doesn't get duller over the years. There's that you listen to your favorite album all the time. You listen to your favorite movie or whatever, and it kind of doesn't have that same punch as many times. Like Horatio said, lightning in a bottle, man. It always reconnects with me and makes me either reappreciate it for something different. There might be some new aspect of it that I'm picking up for the first time. So many killer moments. I'd even mention the amazing shootout at a drive-in. So it's one of those movies that has a drive-in scene in it, which I appreciate. And the intricacy of all the plot lines and how they interconnect and how they come to fruition, and it's just, and it doesn't hold your hands along the way too, which I like. It's like you either know what's going on or you don't, which is funny. I remember one time I was watching Lasers with my buddy, and he was maybe under the influence a little bit at the time, and he was just like, "Oh, I get it. The cops are doing this." I'm like, "No, they're not." Like, "Oh, I get it. They're all aliens." I'm like, "No, they're not." He just was. It was just all going over his head. He's still enjoying it, anyways. But oh man, just and then the whole amazing scene with Vincent Hanna going, "Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we just got made. You know what they're watching? They're watching us." Studio 8H, nice. Yes, please watch Heat. I don't get a commission for every viewing of Heat, I swear. But yeah, I don't have a problem with the new Blu-ray, even though obviously the color timing was changed and everything. But I am definitely not going to get rid of my old DVD copy, and I'm definitely not going to get rid of my old LD copy. I do have the Japanese one too. I should have brought that out. I have the Japanese LaserDisc, which has a different cover art, and which is probably the European poster. And I don't know where I put that. I'll have to grab that. But so yeah, there is a Japanese LD too. I'll have to grab a mintier copy. The one I've got's a beater, and it doesn't have the Obi strip or anything like that. But yeah, it's a film about relationships, like you said. It's all that. Yeah, the toll that these extreme lifestyles take on your interpersonal relationships, and oh man, just how it's kind of like the rock star thing. How impossible it is to have a normal functioning relationship. And even when you're doing good, you're the cop, you're the good guy, there's this collateral damage going on all around you. The people that you pull closer to you end up destroying. And yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And Macaulay and Hannah, like, that's that one thing that they both share that nobody else can understand, that they can only express. They don't even need to express with one another. There's just this inherent understanding that there's a core of them that operate on the same wavelength. And yeah, it's intense stuff, man. And I just love that they took the time to get into it. There's even a little bit of like Danny Trejo having a relationship. They don't really show much of that, but I mean, everybody's in the film has some sort of relationship, and it's usually impacted negatively by their choices. And yeah, they were talking too about, I love that whole concept about this film is, the intricacy of it is partially because of the choices the characters make. And Michael Mann was purposely trying to make it about, not about fate, but about the choices you make. They may not pan out initially or even quickly the way you think they will. But there's repercussions down the line, and they may be good or bad. But yeah, you keep kind of weaving this web through all the choices you're making, and then you reap reap what you sow, essentially. Yeah, dude, the cafe scene. There is such a the subtlety of it, and there's just such this vibe about it. Like you really feel like you're there. And I mean, when I lived in LA, there was times it's like you just you wish you were in that scene. At times I would go into like a coffee shop or like a bookstore or something like that. I always flash back to that, and it's never as amazing as it is in Heat, obviously. But yeah, the film really captures Los Angeles and the feel of it, and the temperature of it somehow it gets across. But yeah, I love just the sound design too, the sound of the cafe when they're in there, the clinking of the dishes and the cups and everything like that. It's just so calm and subtle, and I love how reluctant Macaulay is into getting involved with a conversation with this girl, and yeah, just completely sold me. It's awesome. Yeah, there's so many moments, like moments of music, moments of visuals. Yeah, I mean, there was this series of paintings from Alex Colville that inspired the film too. So there's that classic image of Neil's gun on a counter, and he lives in this super aesthetic environment. There's a lot of attention paid to the environments of these characters. Hannah's living in the ex-husband's house that Justine has kind of taken over, and it's all very neo what he calls it, bullshit, dead tech. And then Macaulay is like the super aesthetic character, so like his apartment is bereft of pretty much everything. There's no furniture. It's just functionality, pure functionality, and then this amazing shot of the ocean, and it's just this hyper blue moment where you see him staring out at the ocean. Those moments. There was some similar material at the beginning of Manhunter too, but it's just imagery that sears itself into your brain. And he borrowed it from Alex Colville's painting Pacific, but holy crap, it's good stuff. Yeah, man, the Terry Ripdahl stuff. Oh man, it's just so perfect. Man, and yeah, the shot of Los Angeles at night, looking out. There's just stuff in Heat that you just didn't catch anywhere else, and it's so funny because I have a lot of friends that just despise Michael Mann, and I'm completely sold on the Michael Mann vibe and his his filmmaking style and his storytelling style. That mixture of passion and cool, like, tactical thinking. It's this great, awesome, cornucopia of badassery. What else is going on in here? Favorite movies in the 90s are Goodfellas, Pulp Fiction, Boogie Nights, Fight Club, Heat. Yeah, Fight Club kicked my ass hard at the end of the decade. Pulp Fiction, I saw multiple times in the theaters. And, Goodfellas, I never saw theatrically, which is a real bummer. It's funny, too, because Casino came out around the same time Heat. But I didn't really connect with Casino until it came out on video. I meant to go see it in the theaters, but I didn't. So I didn't catch it until VHS probably. So I didn't even think I saw it on. I don't think I saw it on LaserDisc for the first time, which is a crime because that's a gorgeous LaserDisc. But Spencer's not a Michael Mann person. That's okay. But yeah, it's okay. You don't have to believe that Heat is some kind of modern masterpiece because there's enough of us that do. So it's fine. It's is it top 10 for me? It's probably top 10 for me, I'm thinking. Yeah, it'd definitely be a desert island. Sure. Yeah, apparently there's some sort of, is there a Ferrari movie he's working on, Michael Mann's working on? I've heard about that. I was just thinking I need to watch Public Enemies again. I haven't seen that in a long time. That's one of those ones I think is even. I enjoyed it when I saw it. That was more of a relationship movie too, as well. But I think that one's going to grow on me a little bit more over time. But it was a little jarring with the digital cinematography and it being a period piece. Really fascinating and strange at the same time. So I wasn't quite 100% sold on if it worked or not. But whereas I was completely sold on Collateral and Miami Vice. But I need to sit down with Ali again too. And I know there's an alternate cut of that. He does like to tinker a little bit with things. There are multiple cuts of Last of the Mohicans. You should definitely get it on LaserDisc for the theatrical cut. There was a version on DVD. It was a little bit different. And unfortunately took out that awesome song by Clannad off the soundtrack. But now there's another version on Blu-ray, which put the Clannad song back in and changed some things around there. So he does tinker, but not on a major level, and his director's cuts aren't like James Cameron style director's cuts, and it's just little things here and there. And someday maybe we'll see the Keep will get free from the the grip of Paramount and or come out of royalty hell or whatever situation is going on with the Tangerine Dream score. Mm-hmm. Oh, Ratio talking Ronin. Yeah, definitely pick up the Arrow Blu-ray. Some great extras on there, and I loved it. And I never did pick it up on LaserDisc, which is a bummer. But my first thing I got for Ronin was the MGM DVD, which I played the crap out of that thing. It was good. But yeah, I really loved the Arrow release. I thought it looked great and sounded great, and some awesome extras on there. It's a great film. Yeah, it's even though everyone compares it to Heat, it's got a way different vibe. But it's fascinating because it's from the point of these characters that are career criminals, and they're very, very awesome at what they do. And it's the locations are amazing, the score is amazing, the cast just rocks, and of course De Niro's in it as well. So, Ari Franklin's heading out. Thanks for joining in. I know it's a weeknight. Spencer digging the Casino, right? Yeah, I know. It's one of those things. It's I don't love it like I do Goodfellas or a number of other Scorsese films, but Yeah, it's got zazz. And oh yeah, Spencer does that. There's a DTS Laserdisc of Ronin too, which I would love to have, which I'm sure you would probably be down to get as well. Yeah, awesome stuff. But yeah, some new Michael Mann, I would be down for that for sure. So yeah, thanks for talking Heat. Does anybody have any like favorite scenes or anything like that? Yeah, I try to keep up with the comments as we went, so many apologies if I missed any of the comments during the discussion there. What's Pete talking about? Batman 4K's new Foley effects. Huh, interesting. They tweaked it. Oh, yeah, Children of Men. Love that flick. I do have the 12 Monkeys that Arrow put out, but I still haven't watched it yet. Yeah, how much is DTS Ronin going for? Probably a nice chunk of change. Oh, I wish they had done a DTS Heat. That would have been pretty sweet, but alas, 'twas not to be. I love DTS Laserdisc, but I don't love their price tags. So I'll only get them when and if I can afford them, or they're actually I don't mind dropping like $20 or $25 on a DTS title, but yeah, I can't really go for these $100 ones or and above. Like, I know the sound's awesome, but is it that awesome? I don't know. Maybe it is, but Casino would be better if it didn't have Sharon Stone as much. Yeah, I mean, she was a little histrionic and kind of rubbed on my nerves the first time I saw it, and less so on repeat viewings. But her character is like kind of comedic and annoying at the same time and over the top. But nice, Pete's grabbing that Arrow Ronin. 80 to 120 for DTS. All right, damn. Yeah, 12 Monkeys, man. We got to make that a movie. I know, I almost want to go into the 12 Monkeys discussion because holy crap, that movie was like, so I was an emotional wreck after I saw that thing. And it kind of rekindled my love for Vertigo, which, so it's like, it means even more to me on like multiple levels. So yeah, we definitely got to do a 12 Monkeys film discussion. But I am excited to do the Elephant Man one just because I've not seen the Elephant Man in a long time. So it'll give me a chance to actually revisit something that I don't naturally watch over and over and over again. Yeah, the ingenuity of 12 Monkeys. Like, I had seen everything Terry Gilliam had done up to that point, but nothing prepared me for that film. I love time travel movies anyways in general, but just the vibe of it and the ingenuity of it, and of course Brad Pitt, and kind of had a Madeline Stowe thing going around that time too. Bruce Willis is just that was one of my favorite performances from him too. So Austin was saying loves the realistic violence in Heat, but not too over the top. Felt like real life. Yeah, I mean, that shootout is rightfully so lauded as one of the best gunfights on screen, because it just feels so violent, but like not in a traditional Hollywood way. And it's more like violent is in like you're there. Yeah, it's documentarian in nature, and it feels like you're squatting behind a car, like, and just the non-stop nature of it. And yeah, just man, yeah, I love the shootout at the drive-in, just the way that's all set up and killer stuff. It's very short but sweet. And Van Zant meeting his end, and spoiler alert. Yeah, everything's very just like it is, sharp and potent and explosive, and you don't see it coming sometimes. I agree. I enjoyed Tolerate Ginger in Casino, right? Yeah, there's like a whole kind of like enjoyment out of her after a while. Yeah, the 5.1 on Ronin, I remember on the Arrow, I remember it being pretty impressive. I watched it. I'm trying to think of what I had in my system at the time, but I remember cranking it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really bombastic, but like layered well, and it wasn't fatiguing at all. Yeah, it was awesome stuff. Oh Oh yeah, Grand Theft Auto 5. I know everybody keeps talking about that being influenced by Heat, which is great. And I still have not played it because I suck. I'm behind, which is great because I did love Vice City for being such a Miami Vice game. Yeah, I love the hacker. It's just in the air. It's how you grab it. I just love the way he just talks. He's just very calm. It's just a bunch of guys chatting about this major crime that's going on, and I like how he's buying the intel. But it's just very casual. It's not anything different than me going to talk to somebody about collabing out a video or something like that. Like, it's just, I have this information, and you could probably use it to rob a bank, and it's just out there. You have to know how to grab it. Like, he's performing the service that obviously Nate doesn't know. And there's a lot of talk too about John Voight being, if not actively trying to get these guys killed, like a la John Woo's The Killer. He's kind of this ineffectual gentleman who's making some bad calls and making their lives more complicated throughout. But he's just a dude. He's just putting them into connection with other people, and it's up to them whether or not they want to take the job or not, or But yeah, he does kind of make things horrible for them. I gotta watch the Criterion Thief. I want to crank that up sometime soon because now I'm kind of in the man vibe, and I'm down to watch that. I have the LaserDisc too, thanks to Moikey. I don't know if he's still awake. Shout out to Moikey. But dude, glad there's some other Heat fans out there. But I forgot to mention, I actually referenced Heat in my wedding vows. It was funny. My wife was like, "You gonna talk about your wedding vows?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know, maybe." But I actually quoted Krisha Hairless in my wedding vows, so that's like how important Heat is to me. So I didn't even quote Star Wars. So yeah, it was a weird mix. I got married in Mark Twain's library, and I was quoting Heat. And a little bit of Game of Thrones too. So it was like a weird pop cultural nerd cornucopia, a little nerd tornado going on there. Lots of interesting culture combining. It was a cool room though. If you're ever in Connecticut, check out the Mark Twain house, and you can actually do a tour and see it all. And his library is, living room / library is amazing. Cool stuff. Everything in the house is badass. Austin actually saw that 2-tape VHS. Nice. I just remember so pissed that it wasn't out on LD because I was like ready to go to Suncoast, buy it day and date. And thanks, Freddie. I'll tell my wife that. He said she must be awesome. I will. I think she is. So, but I'm sure she will definitely like hearing that from you. Right? Yeah, Heat and Twain. Nice combination. Damn, Austin saw Heat when you were 10, huh? That must have been, I'm sure, like akin to me seeing, a different kind of film, but like when I was around that same age when I saw stuff like Clockwork Orange for the first time. It's like movies for my dad, but I was watching them and I was like, yeah, this is pretty damn cool. So, yeah, I imagine if I was 10, probably a lot of Heat wouldn't have like immediately connected with me, but I'm sure I would have been into just the energy of it and the activity going on. But yeah, I was so pissed that LaserDisc was delayed. I was like, because at the time I was really into having people over and I was excited to show people Heat, and then everybody's like, oh, I already saw that. It's like, yeah, but you saw that crappy tape copy. Yeah, Strange Days that's another one. Yeah, we should do all the awesome 95 films. Do 12 Monkeys, Strange Days, 7. And now we got Heat under our belts, but we're working on it. But as Pete also digs the heist shootout in the cafe scene. Yeah. No, I didn't quote Pacino. That would have been pretty funny. It's like, do you take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife? I do, because she's got a great ass, and I got my head all the way up it. Uh, yeah, any a number of Al Pacino quotes would have been fantastic in Wedding Vows. Oh man, yeah, you can get killed walking your doggy. Yeah, all right, so yeah, it makes sense. Austin likes Heat Bitter as an adult, but yeah, there's kind of a lot going on in it, but a lot of characters and subplots and subplots and intricate meanderings. Yeah, I'd love to see it in the theater again. It's been a long time. I've only watched it in my home theater, and again, I don't have any complaints about that experience. It's always a great time, but it would be great to see it in the room full of people again. That was one of those things that when I saw it, like it was, uh, it was one of those things that kind of stunned an audience into submission. Miami Vice even did that too. It's funny, people talk trash about Miami Vice, but that played really well in the theaters. Like it was completely captivating everyone. Both times I saw that theatrically. So, and maybe those two screenings were flukes, or maybe it really is a good movie. But yeah, Heat was very much the same way. I remember it was, especially towards the end, the big bit at the airport. You could hear a pin drop in the theater. It was just really intense. And I just have this real kind of nostalgic connection to that period. That was when I was reading widescreen review and really learning about aspect ratios and boring, nerdy, technical things like that. So it was just, I'd get into the movie theater and I'd see that the screen was set up for 2.35 to 1, and I get excited. It was just a real exciting energy and to be part of it, and having all that kind of happen at the same time, and kind of rediscovering my love for film or just bringing it to a next level. And then these like seminal films in my life kind of came around at the same time. Criterion should do a Strange Days Blu-ray. Oof, yeah. Again, another killer soundtrack on that sucker too. Oof, that's a heavy hitter. But yeah, the German one, I remember 4K Cinema HD was telling me to get the German one, so I'll have to bite the bullet and import that sucker. All right, Spencer, give a little bit of a respect to the Miami Vice movie. All right, I give you a little bit of a fist bump there. New celebrity wedding official Al Pacino, nice. Yeah, that would have been perfect if he was officiating the Sherry Y'all Chapel. I forgot to say Sherry Y'all. Sherry Y'all. I gotta get that custom Sherry Y'all shirt going. But man, so I'll watch some Elephant Man this week and tap into my David Lynch. And I remember there were being some special features on the DVD, so I'll watch those again and everything. And it'll be good times. We'll talk about that next week. And then maybe we'll continue this whole killer 1995 stuff the following week and do one of those other flicks. Yeah. I don't know. I'm leaning towards 12 Monkeys just because I haven't watched that Arrow video release yet, and give me a good excuse to watch the Hamster Factor documentary again, which will be nice. And I still haven't seen the freaking Man Who Killed Don Quixote that finally came out. I was pissed. It was just one day only. Such a bummer. Actually, I got the Arrow release of Tideland too. I wouldn't mind watching that again. I'll go on a big Terry Gilliam binge. But yeah, the Man Who Killed Don Quixote was like one night only in the middle of the week, and I forgot I had something going on that same night. I wasn't able to see it, but yeah, Lost in La Mancha is a great documentary, so I'm excited to see the actual finished film. I still haven't seen Zero Theorem. I know that was like on Amazon for free for the longest time, so I really need to catch up on that. I feel bad for Terry Gilliam. He kind of like drops these movies and they just make this tiny ripple. Like maybe like Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus was the last like kind of bigger thing I remember, but everything else is like very, very small. Thailand was a weird film. It reminded me a lot of The Reflecting Skin and a few other things. And I remember it getting savaged in Entertainment Weekly. I think they gave it a D or an F, but I actually enjoyed it. But yeah, he's definitely pretty divisive. So, but yeah, 12 Monkeys is that's the creme de la creme for me for Gilliam stuff. I mean, Brazil is right next to. Oh, good to hear Zero Theorem is awesome. I will watch that. Brazil's. Yeah, it's tough to say if that's my favorite over 12 Monkeys or vice versa. Maybe they're both tied. I don't think I could give either of them up. They're both desert islands probably, but yeah, something about 12 Monkeys at the time it came out. When I saw it, it was just I was in the right demented headspace, just tapped in there. Oh, Jonathan's digging the Yellow Magic Orchestra stuff. Yes, whenever it seemed like every episode of the Laser Discodeck podcast, when we were talking about what's spinning, I was always spinning that YMO Hurrah LD. I need to get, there's a lot of Yellow Magic Orchestra laser discs out there. A lot of this stuff got actually ported over and onto DVD too, but some of that stuff's pretty pricey. So, I'm probably going to keep getting the LDs. But yeah, I've got that one from maybe late 70s, maybe. It's just, it's just in the pocket and just so badass. Good, yeah, really great stuff. And yeah, I love Ryuichi Sakamoto's solo stuff, and I've got a lot of his laser discs and CDs and everything like that. YMO is great, and Kevin Kobos hooked me up with a lot of great YMO vinyl from Japan with obi strips and everything, so that was super cool. Who's their strange wizard hermit? I missed that. I gotta go up. Get caught up. Maybe it's Terry Gilliam's our strange wizard hermit. Oh yeah, Horatio enjoyed Thailand too. Nice. And who else? Let's get Fisher King. Yeah, how do I forget Fisher King? I need to get the Criterion Collection Laserdisc. Yeah, that's it. The convention I went to, there was there was the Retro World that had the archive present there. It was that was a wallet destroyer. They're doing a new one. I don't know if they have a date yet. It's probably September. Let's see if we can go down here. Angsty Sci-Fi 12 Monkeys. Yeah, man. Loved it. Oh, Spencer's also not fully on board on the Terry Gilliam. Sorry, I'm going to keep picking all these films that you're like half in on. Sorry about that. He's a good interviewee subject to Gilliam. I saw him on, I forgot where it was, promoting Man Who Killed Don Quixote. And he's just a lot of fun. Jabberwocky I haven't seen in a while. All right, catch you later, Freddie. Late dinner. Damn, yeah, that is a late dinner. Enjoy the rest of the night. I'll probably be signing off relatively soon-ish myself. Work night and all that stuff, but how can you love Gilliam? All right, so now we're Horatio met him at a conference in 2010. Cool guy, relaxed, humble, awesome. Yeah, nice. It's good to hear. That's super cool. Yeah, he definitely comes off like that, especially like the more insane stuff he's gone through, like the battle for Brazil and everything like that. He just seems like a little more of like a Yoda-esque kind of character. Like he's kind of been through it all, seen it all. So like it doesn't seem like, and between the first take of trying to make Man Who Killed Don Quixote, like every disaster he's like been pre-disastered. He's disaster proof because it already happened to him. Like I don't think you can really face him nowadays. So I get that kind of vibe from him, that he's this kind of more like monk-like character that just takes it as it comes and keeps on going. Let's see. Ooh, 4K's watching Good, the Bad, and the Ugly on LD. Nice. I used to have that. Do I still have the gatefold? Or did I give that to Goodwill like a knucklehead? I know I've got a fistful. But, did I foolishly get rid of my Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? Oh. Hopefully I didn't just damage my audio there. Sorry. I pulled my microphone. I think it's working. Do I have Oh damn, I think I did. I think I got rid of it. That sucks. I'm an idiot. Never give your laserdisc to Goodwill. You'll regret it later. at the time I was like, I got that DVD copy. It came in that, like, it was like a custom box kind of thing. And I was like, I'm fine. Oh no, where'd my stream go? We back? Alright, looks like we're back. It's disappeared. Always, kind of stuck. Not that Life of Brian didn't stick, but yeah, obviously hanging out with nerdy type fellows, you end up seeing copies of the Holy Grail all the time too. So at other people's places and college campuses and fun things like that. So, oh yeah, Brazil was worth the battle, right? So awesome. Yeah, I just have it on LaserDisc. I never did get the DVD they came out with or any other redo of the Criterion, but so awesome. I wish I had seen the because the director's cut came through my art house and I missed it in the theaters. Did I ever catch it? I swear I saw Brazil once in the theaters. I think I did, but it took a while. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, it did. It was, but it was the director's cut. Yeah, damn. Why did they get rid of the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly LD? Oh man, that was like helped me like kind of help a lot of friends of mine discover that stuff. It helps that like we were like Metallica fans. I'm like, oh, you like Metallica? You're gonna love this because it's got the music from their intro. And that was like a good and just it's hard not to get hooked on that film once it gets going. So that was like this entry into spaghetti westerns for sure for a lot of my friends. All right, I'm gonna have to re-require that one for sure. Yeah, it was a while for the director's cut prints to come out for Brazil. That's probably why I didn't see it. But yeah, I think I went with my wife like once, and yeah, when was that? Like early 2000s, maybe something like that. Munchausen I never saw in the cinemas either. Yeah, bummed about that. And Fisher King I don't think I saw until VHS for the first time. That one kicked my ass too when it came on. Time Bandits I saw in the theater multiple times. I was a huge Time Bandits fan. I remember that was the first time I remembered having distinct tastes different from my parents because my mom went to go see it and hated it. And I think she was in a bad mood anyways. And I don't know why she didn't go see it with me. But something was going on and she just hated it. She also hated Holy Grail. And I convinced her to take me to go see Time Bandits. And I loved it. And she was like, ugh. And then she came around actually years later because I used to watch it a lot when it was on cable back in the 80s. And it was one of those things, Spotlight or the movie channel was always showing it. So she came around. She also came around to Holy Grail too, but she saw that at the wrong time and just didn't connect with the humor of it at all. Like back in the day. Let me move this up a little bit. Sorry if I make noises. Boop. There we go. But yeah, I remember like, wow, my mom didn't like Time Bandits. This is amazing. And it's such a weird movie, but yeah, I was the perfect age. Really tapped into the main character and the insanity of it all was totally cool in my book. Avengers 98, Batman and Robin made me hate Uma as a kid, and the way Jinx made me dislike Halle Berry. Both are great, of course. So I have a soft spot for Avengers 98. I'm always hoping, for like the script that I read to actually appear someday in some sort of filmic version. It still probably would have been a hot mess, but I would have loved to have seen all the stuff they filmed and cut out. But it does have its moments, and it is I'm an Avengers fan, so I'm gonna still watch it even though it's a loaf, and Eddie Izzard in there, that's cool. Sean Connery, Brothers Grimm. I saw that in the theaters, and it was one of those times. It was a Sunday. We'd been out, like the heat had zapped my head, and I remember losing it. Like probably 40 minutes into it, I'm like, I'm going out. I'm like, damn, man, Like, I'm falling asleep, and like I remember it was one of those things where I didn't feel like I fell asleep for a long period of time because I would occasionally wake up and it. You ever had those kind of things where you're like napping out during a movie and you think you saw the movie and then you watch it later and you're like, oh dear God, there's a lot of chunks of this movie I totally didn't see. But in your head, you're just kind of like, you wake up and you catch a little bit and then you nap out. And that was Brothers Grimm for me. There was like a big thick section in the middle that was just kind of out. And I picked up the Blu-ray. And yeah, that thing is really hard to find now. So I'm holding on to it for dear life. And I'm actually intrigued to watch it again because I did kind of enjoy it, but I think me being awake will help. Let's see. Strictly Sega didn't enjoy the new Men in Black. Yeah, that still hasn't opened properly over here. I didn't enjoy Captain. I really like Captain Marvel. That's actually going to be one of my. I've mentioned before, one of my probably repeat viewing MCU titles. There's some that I watch more than others. Obviously, the Guardians movies and Ragnarok. Yeah, but it just kind of, I don't know, clicked for me. Bummer to hear about Men in Black, though. But then again, Men in Black 2 also sucked. So, so maybe it's one of those Star Trek curses where every other movie is good. Shall see. Because 3 wasn't too bad. It was cool. It had Jermaine Clement in there, so always good to see him. Let's see. Which one? Oh, Spencer got the novelization of... was that Brothers Grimm you got the novelization for? That's pretty interesting. Man. You know, I still don't have the freaking uncut Scream LD. I've got Scream 2, but I don't have the first one. And I should probably get that before, because you can still get it relatively cheap. But eventually, you know, the horror market's going to drive that thing out of control. I should get that soon. But yeah, I don't. So yeah, I've yet to see the uncut LD version of Scream. I'm intrigued, though. Connery plus neon teddy bear suit equals amazing. I love, yeah, they totally didn't explain anything about his character in the movie, and he's just this insane dude. Like, he actually had a reason to be obsessed with Emma Peel and all this stuff, and yeah, they just left all that out, and he just randomly has like paintings of her in his palace, and you're like, why? What's going on there? Nope, no connection at all. Nothing. Just weird dude and hangs out with guys in teddy bear suits. I do love me some original Avengers. I need to watch through those again. I foolishly bought all the DVDs that originally came out when Annie was putting those things out in... They would come out in 2 DVD packs, and so each one of those things was pretty damn pricey. And I'm trying to remember if each pack had 2 DVDs within them. So you got an ass ton of episodes, but you had to buy a lot of them to get all the Emma Peel episodes. And I bought them all, and it was just like 2-pack after 2-pack after 2-pack. And then Tupac got killed, and then I kept buying more 2-packs. And I like spent way too much money on it. But I was a young single guy at the time. Yeah, whatever. And then they came out with the Emma Peel mega sets, like, for next to nothing, and then they kept making them more slim and cheaper, and dear God, yeah, then you can get them all like in one fell swoop. So I did wait on a few other things, and I snagged the mega pack of UFO for pretty cheap, so that paid off for me. But I could have held out on those Avengers, but then again, I would have had to have waited to watch them all. When I used to work third shift, that was like my go-to. Like, get home in the morning, do some stuff around the house, watch like 3 episodes of the Avengers. Those good times. Oh, Gilliam was, Hershey was saying Gilliam was working with the Weinsteins was hell. So, first and last film with them. Wow, damn. Yeah, he definitely is one of those guys that, for as cool as he is and chill, like, he definitely doesn't suffer fools gladly. So, I could definitely see him just flipping the bird to anybody that gives him a hard time. Let's see. Oh, Korean. Austin's got the uncut Scream on Korean DVD. Nice. UK's got some restored Avengers on Blu-ray. Oof, damn, that would be nice to see. I did pick up the Prisoner Blu-ray set that came out, which I don't really see anymore, so I guess I'm glad I bought that. But yeah, I don't have any Avengers on Blu-ray. That would be awesome. And yeah, I don't have any Saint on DVD or Blu-ray, sadly. And Persuader's out there too. And I did get I got the Danger Man box, and I got the Secret Agent Man box too. Patrick McGowan goodness. I got those nice and cheap too. Yeah, those. Yeah, I remember the A&E used to show them. Yeah, it was like after school time. It was perfect. They used to show Avengers all the time. It was great. And sometimes they show them like late at night too. But I remember in the afternoon. Yeah, that was like kind of when I saw a lot of those for the first time. I'd seen like pieces of them here and there before, but man, I loved it. And yeah, it's awesome seeing Diana Rigg still showing up and things like Game of Thrones. Yeah, yeah, I was big into the Avengers. The theme song is one of the coolest TV theme songs ever. It's up there with the Cowboy Bebop theme song. Yeah, it's just too cool. Steed and Peele were class acts. I want to say I didn't get the Thunderbird. I got some of the Thunderbirds ones, and then I was almost going to get Space 1999, but somebody was saying like there was problems with that, so I ended up not picking it up. All right, so the Prisoner Blu-ray is out of print. I had a feeling it was. Really glad I grabbed that when I could. Strictly Sega One Nuts, Brian Bryan, Tennant Smith movies this week. Nice. I got to get Turkey Shoot too, because I've been hearing about that one like a lot. So yeah, damn, that's awesome. So yeah, I still got to see The Man from Hong Kong. I know that was assigned to me, so I gotta check that out properly this week. Oh yeah, we didn't get to talk about who was it last week, asking about if I finally watched that Gunship video, and I did. I watched a bunch of those, so good stuff. Oh well, but yeah, maybe next week we'll talk about all that stuff. Scream Korean DVDs region free too. Nice, that's cool. And I still got my old region free hacked JVC DVD player. So, and actually I got like 3 or 4 hacked DVDs. So I could always, even if it isn't region free, I'm cool with that. I just don't have a region free Blu-ray player yet because I'm behind the curve. Maroon dating for Spencer. Nothing compares. Kathy Gale too. Yeah, right. I know she sets the bar high. And then yeah, you could just kind of kick back, look cool with your brolly, and then she beats everyone up for you. Or who was it that was saying it? Was it Harlan Ellison or was it Ray Bradbury? Someone that was saying that she was the perfect woman because yeah, he could just kick back like a nice gentleman and focus on his drink, and she would just fight everyone for him, kick their asses, and then you just maybe trip a guy with your umbrella at the end. Good stuff. I should probably wind down soon, since I do have a little bit of battery in here, but it is getting late-ish on to the Thursday night. Though tomorrow's Friday. Oh, somebody's jamming next door. It's good to. Spencer dressed as Steed for Halloween one year. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, you guys must be psyched. Like, yeah, I'm freaking Steed, man. Respect. And everyone's like, who are you? That's when you attack him with your umbrella. Knock him on the ground. Man, yeah, it's the worst when you go as someone and nobody figures out what you're like. What are you? What's going on? Like, whatever. Once you have to explain yourself, it's never fun. Horror movie called The Void. Somebody was talking about that very recently. It was recommended to me, and I have not seen it yet. So I will check that out. Yeah, I do have the Ghost in the Shell, the mango version from the U.S. I don't have the big nice CAV box set from Japan. I gotta get that at some point. But I have. Where the heck is it? Oh, where did it go? Pardon me for a second. Get away, Gattaca. Glory. Man, it must be misfiled. Where is my Ghost in the Shell Laserdisc? Somebody totally broke into my house and stole my Ghost in the Shell Laserdisc. Or more likely, I just misfiled it like a fool. But that would suck. Because, yeah, I do. I totally have the manga release. Oh, you know what? I actually refiled it. I grabbed this one, which is the CAV American one that has I think they're dub titles, but at least it has subtitles that you can watch through the captions, and it has the Japanese track on the analog tracks, and it's got the US dub on the digital track, so you can put it in analog and then listen to the Japanese and then put on the dub titles and at least get a pseudo subtitled version through closed captioning. It's a nice gatefold. It's got the special features on the last side, on the fourth side, and yeah, it's a nice release. Yeah, bilingual, English on digital channel, Japanese on analog channel, includes making Ghost in the Shell. So, yeah, I need to get Ninja Scroll now. The other manga release I've been wanting to get. But, yeah, what the heck. I'll show you the gatefold. Pardon the noise. Oh. There you go. There's some interior action. Major looking all cool. But nice package. Good thick, almost Japanese level quality jacket. And yeah, I saw that in the cinemas back in the day. Thanksgiving. Actually, I haven't told this story on the live stream before, but I actually left my Thanksgiving dinner with my cousin to go to this art house cinema that was showing it, and there was a snowstorm, and it was just the two of us. Oh yeah, Kenji Kawai. Oof. Good soundtrack. And yeah, we're like, Ghost in the Shell's playing. Like, we gotta go. I don't care if it's Thanksgiving. So we drove out, saw film print, and it was fantastic. It was awesome. I also saw Wings of Honiamis there, and maybe a couple other animated films over the years. But yeah, it's really nice release. So of course I picked up that Laserdisc right when it came out and watched that one often. It's good stuff. But yeah, definitely Ninja Scroll I went straight to DVD, but I need to get that on Laserdisc. I see people selling that every once in a while. Oh, Rod Knock was there. Rod made it for a little bit. Nice. Let's see what else is going on. I like Captain Marvel but hate Temple of Doom. Yep. Guilty as charged. Yep. And I'm not afraid to say. But yeah, I don't know what that Ghost in the Shell is going for nowadays. It's one of those things that kind of fluctuates, and it can heat up a little bit occasionally, but you can probably still get a copy for a reasonable price. Love the screen crackling, sleeve crackling, so comfortable. I gotta do some ASMR Laserdisc videos and just do cracking open gatefolds and tapping on Laserdiscs. But yeah, love that release. I gotta get the Japanese box CAV for that, and I gotta get the Japanese CAV Akira box too. Still, those things are like essential, and I don't have them. And I don't have the CAV Akira Criterion either. I just have the CLV reissue. So I gotta get cracking on those. And I don't think I have Akira on Blu-ray. I had the Pioneer Steelbook when it first came out on DVD here in the States, and then I sold it because I just watched the Laserdisc all the time. So that was pretty foolish of me. I don't know why I sold that thing, but I sold a bunch. I sold my Metropolis DVD. That just got reissued recently on Blu-ray, so I should pick that up. I haven't seen that flick in a while. I saw that in the theater too, and they occasionally have some good anime stuff, like in 35mm, like in my neck of the woods. I saw the Cowboy Bebop movie in the theater. Yeah, some good stuff. Seem to suffer from the common delusion that Crusade is better than Temple. Yes, I definitely am definitely under that common delusion. Holy cow, Temple was so disappointing. But Crusade I enjoy quite a bit. But I'm not of the delusion that Crusade is better than Raiders of the Lost Ark. That is top dog. So I'm not. I might be crazy, but I'm not that crazy. Sorry, I was just thinking about. We were always at work. We were always quoting us with the. You want to get crazy? We can get crazy. Like we use that for everything. It's like, you want to get pizza? We could get pizza. Yeah, man, giant discs, bring them back. I love that stuff. Yeah, it's funny how they have those giant sleeves in the UK, and I haven't heard much about those lately. I'm assuming they're still doing them occasionally, but Disney was putting those out. Like, but the kind of irony was that they were mostly trying to capture the vibe of vinyl releases, but I don't even know if they were thinking about LaserDisc when they were coming out with these cool like 12-inch releases of Guardians of the Galaxy, etc. But big discs are fun for sure. Oh man! All right, well I guess we're at around 11:30. That's a good time. She ended for a couple hours. Thanks for watching Heat for those who watched along and played the home game. Next week again, watch some David Lynch, Elephant Man, if you so choose. We'll hash that one out. That would be interesting too, because it's not one of those movies that I'm completely obsessed with. So I'll be discovering new things about it theoretically too, because it's been a while since I've watched it, and I tend to watch Lost Highway over and over and over again, and of course Blue Velvet and other David Lynch movies. So this would be cool. It'll be forcing me to watch the one that I don't necessarily always go to, mostly because it's kind of also a bit of a bummer, but. Well, it gave me a chance to listen to some Mastodon songs about John Merrick and crank it up and have a good time. Oh, man. Moonstruck is the movie of the week. Nope, it's not Moonstruck. It's The Elephant Man. But we should definitely do some Cher movies at some point. Good times. But yeah, we'll see. 8K Blu-rays. Oh, Rod's going to watch Elephant Man. Excellent. Good deal. And then the following week, we'll go back to 95. We'll do 12 Monkeys the following week. We're prepared. So if you want to do your extra credit early, you could watch all this stuff. I'll put a calendar up on Facebook. Figure out the whole month. You kids loving your Temple of Doom. Whatever. It's okay. Just don't watch it on my lawn. I'm cool with it. Oh, Kevin just watched Hard Target. That's funny. Vincent Honorati was just using Hard Target as his... example for explaining aspect ratios to people on Laserdisc Forever today. We'll watch rotting movies. Hard Target is when it came out, it was like a bit of a disappointment because obviously the thought of John Woo coming to America like had us all thinking it was going to be like Hard Boiled level, but it is definitely underrated, man. Hard Target is awesome stuff. I'd love to get the extended super violent cut that's out on like bootleg form. Love to get a proper version of that. I still need to get the Japanese Laserdisc, which is longer than the US release. I have a VHS dub of it that I bought from a bootlegger back in the 90s. That was my go-to copy for a while, but I need to get a proper Japanese one. Yeah, when you want to do Eraserhead as like extra credit, we could do like a David Lynch double whammy. You can choose to do like one or the other or both if you want. I'd be down with that. Also gives me an excuse to watch Eraserhead again. Plus, since I'm not like a mega like Elephant Man acolyte, it'll like help fill the time a little bit better. Hard Target, man. I was never like a major JCVD fan at the time, but Bloodsport obviously was the shiznit. But just that one hit the right spot of like cheese and awesomeness and what Yancey Butler's extremely like crazy deer in the headlights stare. Just the nonsense. Cop putting the lit cake in the desk drawer. We definitely have to cover Hard Target at some time. So many awesome moments in that. That's like a amazing movie to watch with friends too. That's like immediately makes your night better. Nice. What else? Oh, Rod's getting back to work. Yeah, cool. I'm gonna, since it's almost 11:30 proper. I'm just turned right here, so I'm gonna sign off on this end. But thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for talking Michael Mann, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. So yeah, cheers, everybody, for hanging out. Fire explosions and mullets, man. Yeah, and then Wilford Brimley riding a horse. And the snake punching, man, so much great stuff in there. Yeah, man, I also find myself becoming a bigger Van Damme fan. And then Jean-Claude Van Johnson was amazing on Amazon Prime. And yeah, I don't have Hard Target on Blue. I definitely want to get that. But anyway, so yeah. Where in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we'll do Hard Target for sure. Anyways, thanks for hanging out, everybody. And yeah, cheers. Glad you guys had fun. I certainly always have a good time. And we'll catch you next week. I'll try to keep sticking with the Thursday thing for now, because my weekends are craptastic for the next month or so. So yeah, next Thursday, 9 o'clock. Well, I'll try to be here. If something wacky happens, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, we'll watch some David Lynch action and reconvene. And hopefully I'll have some more cool LDs or something in the mail too. So cheers, everyone. Have a most awesome weekend. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side.